Nonagon Infinity is a high-energy album made by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard in 2016 with some absolute bangers. But what if I told you that this awesome album inspired a fan game that is super cool but also insanely difficult, with gameplay reminiscent of Super Meat Boy, Doom, and even Zelda? This video will tackle the incredible gameplay of Nonagon Infinity and the opening of the door, and go over how perfectly this fan game captures the mood and themes of the album. Before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this game, though, I want to throw a few disclaimers out. First off, seizure warning. This game has a lot of flashing images. Also, sadly, this project was, at least to my knowledge, cancelled by the original developer, so just the first 3 songs of the album were turned into games. Even then, the gameplay is so chock full of references and iconic imagery that I just had to make a video about this. So let's dive into the first game, Robot Stop. The moment you open up the first minigame, you are thrown into the action immediately. The game gives you simple instructions for how to move and jump, but the moment the music kicks off, you realize the floor is lava and there's a ticking timer on the top left. This ticking timer is a core mechanic of this game for every song. Pretty much, you have to complete each level before the music finishes, not unsimilar to Crypto the Necrodancer, another game I enjoy dearly. So, what's the goal of each level? Well, to speedrun everything, of course, and go, go, go! You learn pretty quickly, thanks to the fast-approaching lava and spikes, that this is a rage game. The developer himself, Moo Moo Dev, described it as such. But as far as polish goes, this game is tight. The movement is satisfying, the vibe of the levels fits the vibe of the music, and even the display slightly turns in the direction the player is moving all the time, which I never thought about as a game design choice, but man, is it immersive. While I wouldn't call this game unfair by any means, especially considering that I have experience with quote-unquote rage platformers like I Wanna Be the Guy and Spelunky, I could definitely see why the difficulty might discourage a player. But between the music, tight controls, and the game telling me, "What are you waiting for?" each time I wait too long at the death screen, I feel myself being egged on to keep trying and reach the next song. And holy shit, the last screen of the platformer section was a trip. Of course the big bad boss of this game is the Nonagon Infinity itself, why wouldn't it be? While it shoots buzzsaws at you and the lava boils underneath, you have to platform your way to every death switch in the room, ending with a death switch right in the middle of the Nonagon Infinity. And when you jump on that last death switch, boom, the scene changes and you see a face singing the lyrics of the song. This is actually pulled directly from the Robot Stop music video, which I feel inspired the general aesthetic of this entire game, with all the red pixels and trippy visuals. Once the scene ends, we are thrown into a seamless transition to the next song in the game, Big Fig Wasp. Alright, can anyone make a guess as to what game inspired this game mode? Doom. It's very much Doom. I'll be honest, I struggled with this section, mostly because I just suck at any first or third person game that involves shoot. The other thing that makes this game mode super hard is the timer. Now, I mentioned the timer in the last game mode too, but the lava in the last game mode made it so you basically can't run out of time without the lava getting to you. Here, though, you have to complete every level with no indicator if you are going too fast or too slow. Just zip zoom and hope for the best. The way you complete each level is by clearing out every enemy to open the level exit. The enemies are wasps, go figure, and wasp nests. I will say that between the fast gameplay and windy maps, I was getting lost and confused pretty often. I pretty much was only looking at the little character indicator on the top right to know where I was going, instead of the big screen in front of me. I do wonder if more visual clarity would have helped this section a bit more, like maybe replacing the checkered floor with a different texture, although this could just be written off as a skill issue. Either way, the game is pretty forgiving with time, and I was eventually able to beat it after a couple tries. In the last level, you are given a huge weapon that I think is a Gatling gun? And you just unload bullets into the big Fig Wasp in the middle. It's a pretty jolly good time, and the screen shake when you use the gun isn't unbearable and still gets the intensity of the weapon right. I felt amazing after finally killing the boss after trying a few times. After killing the boss, we are put back into the platformer again, which I think is pretty genius from the game design synergizing with the music perspective, since the end of Big Fig Wasp is a callback to Robot Stop. Everything is timed so perfectly that it is just mwah, chef's kiss. At the end of the platformer, we touch a big egg. Link's Awakening, anybody? And then starts the Zelda-inspired game mode dedicated to the next song in the album, Gamma Knife. The moment you load into this area, you see a knife in front of you with the words, "Wield the Gamma Knife, it is your destiny," below it. Don't need to tell me twice. The Gamma Knife is going to be the weapon you use to kill enemies and progress through the dungeon. Don't let the slower speed of the character fool you, you are still very much under a time limit and have to speedrun through the game. The enemies are not too bad in this area, although the hitbox of your sword is deceptively small, so it's pretty easy to accidentally whiff a strike. There are weirdly speedy skeleton guys, floating skulls with flames around them, and super speedy bugs that only dash in a single direction in spurts of energy. The map layout is shown to you on the bottom right, and you need to search through each room to find a key to progress through the area. I will say sometimes the clustering of enemies felt like it was impossible to not take damage, although maybe that's just how the OG Zelda was? I don't know. Either way, thank God we get 5 lives, pretty forgiving. I did want to mention one pretty neat thing about the game's design that I especially became pretty aware of during this song, which was the replayability of the levels. Each level takes at max around 4 minutes to fully complete, so it's pretty easy to get into the one more mentality, almost like how I feel for some ultra-hard but fast-paced roguelikes like Nuclear Throne. I probably felt a lot of things while playing these games, but due to the high energy and fast gameplay, I can confidently say I was never bored. In the last level, you once again fight the Nonagon Infinity in a final showdown in the context of this demo. He was pretty easy, just teleporting every time you hit him and shooting projectiles. As far as rage games go, this section of the game is pretty tame and manageable. Once you defeat the boss, it explodes into flashes of red and white, and the credits for the game roll. Even though the credits song isn't from Nonagon Infinity, it's still an absolute banger by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, called God is Calling Me Back Home. Overall, Nonagon Infinity and the opening of the door is a kick-ass fan game inspired by a kick-ass rock album. With the rhythm cues and imagery, it feels like the game is dancing to the music while you are playing it, and it's just such a good time. I find it so cool that art can propagate more art, and a video game inspired by an album could be this fun. While I assume you probably clicked on this video because you have some interest in Nonagon Infinity, if you have somehow not listened to the album and made it this far and like the music, please listen to the full album, it is so good. And I really look forward to seeing what Moo Moo Dev makes in the future, whether it's related to this project or something completely different, because this game was amazing and full of creativity. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this alongside gaming highlights, be sure to subscribe and check out my Twitch. I play all kinds of different games, both old and new, indie and retro, and love interacting with the folks on stream. Thanks for watching, bye bye!